everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bilkis. How are you doing? It's good to be back once again, and today's tutorial will be on how to transfer our pattern that we drafted on our fabric and how to sew it up for you to see the fitting and all that. I'll be making use of the pattern which has the darts. Yes, can you see? If you don't know how to do this, I'll put the link in the description box below. You can check out my other channel, Bilkis Signatures for Lovely DIYs. You can make right there at all. Follow me on Instagram, Bilkis Signatures, and on Facebook, Sewing Innovation. So there are two options to do this. You can either just place this on another paper and then add your seam allowance, but I just like to place it directly on my fabric, then map out the seam allowance. I would have been making use of this calico fabric, but it is still the same color with my mannequin, so I'll be making use of another color that could be visible for you guys. So right now, let's go to the work table. To start with the front pattern, and then I already use my pattern notcher to notch the strategic darts because it's going to be a good guideline. Before we start again, then for the punch holes for the dart, we are sewing this in and not cutting it out. So from your bust point here, just go up by 1 1/4, 1 1/4, and make sure it is in between wherever it falls. Good. So that will be where my punch hole is going to be. So back to. So make sure you fold your fabric because the front will be folded. Let me see that. Then I'm just going to use my pulley to clip it down. After clipping it down, then I'm going to trace it with my fabric marker. If you have your tailor stroke, you can use this. So with the punch holes here, I'll be able to know where the dart will be. Make sure all these holes are being marked. So having done that now, then we can add a seam allowance. And the last thing is to use your awl to make a punch hole here. So with that, it's going to show right there. So can you see what we have? So with this punch hole, you know where the dart is going to be. So let me just mark that out for beginners. You see that was pretty easy. The next thing now is to add your seam allowance. So on the average, except for the sides, which you can add 3/4 to 1 inch, all around the armhole, all others, the neckline, the lower part, 1/2 inch is just fine. All you have to do is to take your measuring tape, then you mark it. Can you see that? Though as for me, I just highball it and it always works. That is due to constant practice. Let me see what I'm doing. So you just take your time to do that. Here. You see, so with the punch, you know this is where the dart is, so it's so easy. Half an inch. You see that? So for me, I just eyeball and it works. It's no magic at all, but it is based on experience and it just works out fine. You understand that? So it's no magic. So as time goes on, you become perfect too. Then for this part, it's going to be 1 inch. Due to experience, I know what 1 inch looks like, or 3/4 is fine. Then here back to half an inch. You see, so here is already half inch. So can you see that? Then I can cut it. So to confirm, can you see it's 1 inch? So based on experience, then I can cut it all out. And you can see that's just pretty easy. And you see, so opening it up, this is what I'm going to have. So what I'll do is to just transfer the dart to the other side, or to make it easier, you can just hold it together and then notch the part where the dart will be. Can you see that? So it definitely shows on the other side. Then you do that to this point. So I'm going to cut the back the same way. So having done this now, have marked it all around. Then don't forget your punch hole, which I've done. Then I'm going to use this marker, like to be visible. So this is what I have. So for the back, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to consider the folded part. So having done that, we can have the seam allowance. So for the side, I usually make it 1 inch, remember. Also for the back, for the zipper allowance, I'll make it 1 inch. Then the rest will be half an inch. You see that? So you gently do that. So I'm going to add all my seam allowance. So please ensure you use your measuring tape when you are adding your own seam allowance. So I've added all the seam allowance. So for the dart, let me connect this for you to see. So this is what we have now. So easy to do. Then the notch for the armhole will be very, very easy. It's also very important, but when we are talking about the sleeve, how to attach the setting sleeve, we talk about that. So having done this, I can now cut it all out. Having cut it all out, can you see that? So you can also transfer this marking to the other side. How do you do that? Just place it on it this way. Can you see? Then you can trace it all out. So since we have all our patterns ready now, can you see that? I'll also try to place this marking on the right side so that when I put it on the mannequin, you will understand that. So this is for the back and this is for the front. So can you see that? So to make it also easier, I will transfer this marking here. Transfer the marking, you can see how it looks. So this is for the back and this is for the front. So what we are going to do now is to start sewing them together. And what is the next step to do is to sew in the darts. So for the back, all you have to do is this. The first notch here has to match the second notch. Let's see. So you are going to start sewing from here down to this point. So you're going to sew this in, sew the other side, and then for the back, I've explained this side. So for the shoulder here, just make sure each notches matches each other. Just follow it, don't just make sure it's uneven, make sure it is even, because we have done all that on the pattern, all the adjustment. Can you see that? Then take this This is what you'll have. Then I'm just going to sew from here down to the apex. That has been sewn. Can you see that? Can you see what the dart looks like? And also the waist dart. So this is what I have now. So looking at it on the right side, this is what I'm going to have. Can you see? So I'm going to just give it a good press, and when you are pressing the dart, make sure you press it towards the armhole region. So I'm going to use my tailor's hammer to do that. Let me see. So looking at it, you will see the dart seam allowance matches with the shoulder. So the waist dart towards the sides. So after ironing it, can you see how beautiful that looks? Can you see that? So the bust is so prominent and everything is well aligned. The next thing now will be to join the shoulder first. So can you see also the shoulder matches both the front and the back? So I'm going to sew the 1/2 inch seam allowance, 1/2 inch, then sew the 1 inch side seam allowance. Then we can test it on our mannequin. Right now I've sewn the shoulders and then the sides. Can you see it's just so beautiful? So the dart brings about the prominency of the bust, the excesses we have here. So it's going to show the fitting on your body. So can you see the darts? So it's so beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is to place it on the mannequin for you to see how it looks. I've placed the outfit on the mannequin and you can see how lovely it looks. Everything sits so well, and you can see the bust area is so prominent and beautiful. You can see the shoulder seam sits so well. Can you see? And also the waist. Can you see that? Can you see the sides too? Everything is just fine. Then looking at our pattern, you might see the front is a little bit lower than the back when drafting. That is, everything now aligns. That's because the bust is now pushing up the outfit, so to make everything align at the waist. So it's just so beautiful. Looking at the back is wonderful and sits well. So I'm overlapping it because of the zipper allowance I have left, so that is why it is overlapping. So if my tutorial on how to make this lovely outfit has been helpful, please give me a giant thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I remain your girl Blouse. Ensure you give it a try.